Welcome back to Grit and Gut Podcast, where toughness talks, the grit, the grind, the guts, and the greatness, all things wrestling. I'm your co-host, Coach Craig VanDyke.
And I'm Mike Harbison, and today we are recapping the Greco World Championships. Let's go ahead and get into it, Craig.
All right, let's go. But before we start talking about results, Mike, let's talk about the new rule they put in with Greco. So for those of you guys who watched, it might have been a little confusing. You know, we talk a lot about, let's simplify the rules for the fans, and then we make it complex. So here, let me just say what my solution is for all of this criteria stuff.
Let's hear
Freestyle Greco, here's what you do. The first score is the tie-breaking criteria. That's it. Just end it there. No cautions. No, this point move is worth that. The first score is the criteria. Done. That's what makes it simple for fans. So even if your
first score is a 1 point and they end up scoring a 4 point in the match and whatever, right?
But if you come back and you tie it 4-4. No, I think first score wins. We talk about simplicity. Dude, you talk about action getting going right away. I think that's the answer. So what
I mean, too, when you coach your kids, right? Do you coach them? They want to be the first to score because first to score wins 80% of the matches, something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't be mad about it, but it changes the strategy for sure when you're competing, though, because in
a good way, in a fan-friendly way, because it gets action going right away. So right now what we had, previous to this, we had, the last score wins. And then there's all this criteria. It's tough for fans. And let me tell you something. I coach athletes, we're going to talk about that later. I coach athletes internationally. Sometimes they don't know. They don't know the criteria. Referees are starting matches before the score is fixed on the scoreboard. Drives me crazy. So athletes are confused by it. So now if you have a top-level athlete that's confused by it, is not sure they're winning on criteria, how is a fan supposed to know that? And even if your coach knows, and sometimes coaches are going to get confused too.
True.
How can we communicate that to our wrestler? They might not understand, hey, you're behind, you got to go. So first score wins. It simplifies it not just for the fans, but for the wrestlers and the coaches. So Greco kind of dipped their toe in the water with that, Mike.
Yeah.
So if a match ends on a 1-1 tie, not a 2-2 tie, not a 3-3, not anything else, only a 1-1 tie, the first wrestler to score has won the match. Any other tie, it's kind of the old criteria.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's last to score, it's highest points scored, it's number of cautions. So it gets to where it's confusing, right? So anyway, first to score wins the match on a tie. Boom, that's easy. I don't know when we decided we were afraid of having overtime, by the way. I'd be happy with going back to having an overtime period too. And then the criteria maybe comes into play. I don't know, but hey, simplify it. First to score, you win the match. Action starts right away. The argument that people say, but then at the end of the match, you get a lot of good action. You're going to get the good action in. One guy's still going to be losing the match at the end and going to have to go. It's just maybe the other guy now.
Here's the other thing, right? So if you are the first to score on me, in the first period, let's say first minute, right?
Yeah.
Then me wrestling you, I'm on the fire, right? I can't let it get tied. I first have to take the lead, and then I have to keep the lead. So I need to score at least 3 points against you to be up 3-1, and hopefully you only score a push out or something. You know what I mean? So I like that from an athlete standpoint, because at that point, if you aren't the first to score, you're on the hot seat the whole match, right? And that's going to drive you a little bit, because sometimes I think, they don't care really who scores first. Sometimes you'll see matches where they just try to hold that score and then score to tie it, aka win on criteria kind of deal near the end, right?
Look at Lopez from Cuba. He was a master of that. I'm just going to wait till I get on top of you, and then the match is going to end. That was his whole strategy.
He's
and honestly, he's amazing. Obviously, 5-time champ, but his matches could be a little stale. He would just kind of sit there and stall in neutral, do his hand fight that he was the best in the world at, get on top, and that was it. So it's like, let's get the action going early in the match, you know,
Yeah.
and
That
it'll
dude
be
could
at the end
hold
of the
center,
match too.
man. That dude could
Yeah.
hold
Oh
center in
yeah.
that. Yeah,
Absolutely.
he was,
Yeah.
gosh, a brick wall.
Dream matchup: Karelin versus Lopez. We should, you
Oh,
know, we
man.
all wish we could have seen that. Two of the great Greco
Yeah.
guys. All
That'd be
right, so let's let's dive into the U.S. performance at the Greco-Roman World Championships. Mike, we finished with 18 team points in
yeah.
18th place. By comparison, Iran, who won, had 180 points. Okay, so they
Yeah.
were 10 times better than us as far as the score goes. Azerbaijan finished in second. Those were kind of our predictions. Georgia actually slipped to fourth. We kind of thought they'd be in the top three.
Yeah.
Uzbekistan had a great performance. They finished third in the team standings,
Yeah.
but there's a big gap between Iran and Azerbaijan. So 180 won the tournament. 89 was second place. So Iran has really separated themselves in Greco.
Just dominating Greco, but,
Yeah,
also, I mean, the U.S. Greco squad, man, they battled hard, like
sure.
across a lot of the weights, majority of the 10 weight classes, so
Absolutely.
there was some exciting moments, right? There was some like potential watching where you're just like, oh, what? Like this could, especially when we get ready to start talking about the first guy we're going to talk
I was
about,
going to
right?
say, yeah,
Just go
exactly.
ahead, go ahead,
55
get on into
kilos.
it. Let's get him going.
Let's go. Jaden Rainey,
Yeah,
first time on the senior level Greco team, 55 kilos. Man, he did great. He comes out two
so
wins,
phenomenal.
ends up in seventh place. So he was one of those guys scoring team points. We only
Jeez.
had three guys that actually contributed to the team score. Jaden Rainey, the young gun, he was one of them. He showed a lot of grit and a lot of guts. His loss was to really, I think he was one of the guys I mentioned as a top five
He
Greco
was
guy,
actually, yes,
Azizli.
really,
Yeah,
yeah.
so he lost to a great wrestler and not a terrible match there,
It was not a
score
terrible
wise.
match.
Yeah, give us a summary of his
Yeah,
performance.
so I mean, obviously he was the youngest guy on the Greco team,
Yeah,
and like we had talked about, we definitely in our previous episode, or talking about Greco, we had said, man, he could definitely bust up this bracket. A lot of
yeah,
people not really looking for him, and we knew that Azizli was going to be a tough match for him if they did end up meeting, which they did.
yeah,
But that match wasn't as tough of a match for him as I thought it was going to be, right? Like he was in that. He wasn't like just getting demolished in that match, right?
yeah,
Which is awesome. And, so, he picked up 2 wins, and he had a fall over Iraq's Albajan, before,
yeah,
before he ran into, Azizli in the quarters,
yeah,
and
yeah,
that's where he ended up getting eliminated. But man, oh man, I mean, talk about going crazy, especially, in that Zeasley match where it was just like, here it
hmm.
is, man. This is going to be,
Let it
make
fly.
or break moment, man. And
Yeah.
he was gritty, had all sorts of gut, man. And he just,
Hmm.
man, I'm excited to see where he goes,
Absolutely.
what the future
Hopefully
holds.
hopefully he sticks with Greco and maybe even just specializes in it. That would be great to see. Maybe bring some of that Greco to his collegiate wrestling too, and just be an upper body guy. Like
For
be
sure.
dynamic, be exciting.
Yeah.
In folk style, if we're using Greco type things, it's not as big of a risk necessarily. You're not necessarily going to give up a four and then you're not
Right.
going to get teched at 8 points either. So he
No.
can
Yep.
he can take some more risks in folk style, during the college season that will help him get good in the Greco. So moving up to 60 kilos, we got Max Black. He goes 1-2 on the tournament, had a win over Israel, and then a loss to Kazakhstan, and then he got teched by North Korea. Give us a little rundown of his performance, Mike.
Yeah. I mean, he did good. He was looking strong, and it's just he finished just outside the medals, and it was there was nothing disappointing about watching him compete. So yeah, I think again, I was excited about how our Greco team overall performed at this World Championships. I think this was probably one of the better overall representations as a team that we've had in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And Max Black was definitely a part of that. He was he was great. I thought he looked pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah, so for sure.
All right, so moving up to 63, we got Ellis Coleman. We had some high hopes for him. He gets a good tech over the Egyptian,
Yeah.
fall, but he also gets teched. Unfortunately, he goes 1-1. Again, he was our only seeded wrestler. We had some higher hopes for him. He finishes outside the top 10. Mike.
Yeah, and I mean he's seasoned, and good old flying squirrel man, you love him to death, right?
Yeah,
He's one of those people's champions.
yeah,
And it was, I mean, his win over the Egyptian guy was awesome.
yeah,
Um, and it just, and then turns around and well, I mean, that's just wrestling,
yeah,
right? You
yeah,
wrestling matches and yeah, so that was tough, but again, the first match was great.
yeah,
Second match,
yeah.
dang it,
Yeah,
you
we
know,
had a few performances like that. Men's freestyle too, where it's like, "Hey, we
yeah,
look great," and then, "Oh, not so great." But
yeah, oh
all
yeah,
right, so our next two weights is 67 and 72. We didn't get any wins there.
tough
67 was
draws.
Alston Nutter, and in 72 Alejandro Sancho, who did get pulled back in to the tournament, but ends up going 0-2. Nutter only got one match. He got teched by Croatia
Yeah,
opening round, and his tournament was over. Sancho got pulled back in, lost to the Frenchman and the Armenian.
yeah, Nutter just man, that was a tough draw in that first round.
Yeah,
We
definitely.
said, man, his how he does is all going to depend on that first round draw. Where he
Yeah,
ends up in the bracket, and
yeah,
he got exactly where he didn't want to get. So
yeah.
um, you know, and Sancho, man, I tell you what, um, he, I still think he looked pretty good. Even in the losses and stuff like that. I think he wrestled pretty sound. He was strong, held good
Mm-hmm.
position, stuff like that. So um, I'm too excited to see where he's going to go. What he's going to be able to do. Yeah, there wasn't
Yeah.
his wrestling was strong. It was just he's lost the matches.
Right. All right, 77 kilos, Kamal Bay. He's a savvy veteran. He finishes with a 1-2 record in 10th place, so he did score points for Team USA. Obviously, Kamal was a guy we were looking at, unseeded, but really thought he could. Every year we think Kamal. We know
Oh
he can make the medal rounds. He's beaten such great wrestlers in the past. It's never really come together for him, on the big stage at the Worlds. But he did have a tech over the Polish wrestler, and then some tough losses to Armenia and Turkey. Close matches,
yeah,
put points up in every match he wrestled, but finishes in 10th. So Kamal Bay,
yeah. And he's always explosive, and I mean USA loves
exciting wrestler to
Bay,
watch.
man.
Yeah,
We
definitely
love this
exciting Greco
guy.
guy.
I mean, he's a gem to have on the team. He's
Yeah,
awesome. He's a
yeah,
good person, great for the sport, all that, right? And man, his 11-2 win was just money. That dude was just, it was a Kamal Bay that
yeah,
we just love to see, just, you
absolutely.
know, all business, all big
Yeah,
time,
put
and
up 11 points that
yeah,
match. Yeah,
it
which
just,
is great.
it's like, man, it's supposed to stop at 8. Not with Kamal Bay. Nope.
Nope, he's gonna
He
go.
levels up. He puts in the cheat code. He's going to get 11 on you. So it's awesome, man.
Yeah,
I love that dude, man. Plus the
awesome.
Illinois guy, so lots of
Of
love.
course, I was going to say you're a bit of a homer on that one. He's an
Yeah, for
Illinois guy.
sure, man.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
absolutely.
yeah, so he's always great, always great to watch. Wish he could have
Yeah,
busted into those medals, or
yeah,
a little bit higher finish for sure. But
yeah,
it is what it
definitely.
is. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see him through the cycle and
Yep.
hopefully in LA in 2028. Speaking of another wrestler we had high hopes for, Melele,
Yeah.
the Georgian transplant that came to the U.S. 5 or 6 years ago. He, based on his U23s from previous years, previous performances and age
Yeah.
groups, we kind of had some high expectations for him. You know, he unfortunately only gets one match. He goes 0-1, lost a close 4-6 decision. So, and then that wrestler doesn't go on and win, which means
No.
he's eliminated for
Yeah.
competition. We only got to see him in one match, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Um, the draw matters, of course, especially when you're
Oh yeah.
unseated in these big events.
Yep. And it wasn't. I mean, it was a good draw for him. Actually,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
wasn't. It wasn't bad, right? If you're going to get anywhere, it
Qatar,
was.
right? Yeah,
So and it
yeah.
was a tight 6-4 match that he lost
Hmm.
to the guy from Qatar, Mofrad.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
again, we only got to see him wrestle once. It was a tight, close match. They were pretty equal across the board between the two of them.
yeah,
So yeah, so it is what it is on that one. Yeah, but lots. We
yeah.
did have some a little bit of high hopes for him being able to bust the bracket up.
Absolutely. All right, moving up to 87 kilos, Peyton Jacobson. He finishes in seventh, so he was actually one of our top finishers for Team USA, scored team
Yeah,
points. He goes 2-2 in the tournament. Big win, tech over India, and another tech over the Japanese wrestler. Then he had same 5-1. He lost two matches 5-1 to the Serbia and the Kazakhstani wrestler. But Peyton Jacobson, I think he kind of outdid expectations actually.
he really outdid expectations,
Yeah.
and two, like watching him on the mat and watching his matches, he he had a little swagger about him.
Yeah.
You could tell in his body language, this is my tournament. I'm
Yeah.
coming here. I'm here to blow this thing up. You're going to know who I am when it's all said and done. And,
Hmm.
I think I was greatly impressed with his mat presence,
Yeah.
how he, controlled matches and moments of the matches where it was just like, yes. So I, and yeah, he's well on his way. He's got a good trajectory moving forward, and I think he's going to do much better than seventh coming next year for sure.
Yeah. Great experience for him. Moving up to 97 kilos, Michael Foy. He
Yeah,
goes 1-1. Had a win over the Lithuanian, got teched and blanked by the Georgian, who is no slouch. But
yeah,
Foy, we at least got to see him twice. Mike, what did you think about his performance?
man. And his opener, he, I felt like he controlled that match. It
Hmm.
looked so good. So it got me really excited. I was like, okay, especially after watching Jacobson, and you're like, oh, Floyd, look at him. He's,
Yeah.
maybe got a little motivated, whatever, right? And then
Yeah.
it was like, dang it, the second match, right? So, but again, there's so much good to talk about with like our Greco team this year. And I think he's another huge, great point for our team. And
Yes.
just again, he's got a lot of potential. He's got family lineage for it, different things like that. So
Yep.
he's got the
Yep.
pedigree. So I'm excited to see
Yeah.
where he takes his career for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so our big boy, another guy we consider a savvy veteran, Colton Schultz at
Yeah,
130 kilos. Man, what a ridiculously tough draw. And then I don't know if he wore the guy out or whatever. But he doesn't get pulled back into the repechage.
yeah,
So unfortunately, Colton Schultz goes 0-1. He loses to the Russian, who is the UWW designation. A man
yeah.
loses 5-2 in the opening round, and then this guy doesn't do his job and pull us back in.
Doesn't
So we
pull him
only got
back
to,
in.
I know, man, do your job and get Colton
Yeah,
back in the tournament, but he didn't. So unfortunately, we were 0-1 there.
yeah, and Colton looked all right. You know,
Hmm.
um, he just I don't know. It wasn't. It didn't seem. I don't know. It just didn't seem the usual Colton Schultz out there in
Yeah,
that match, and so and it just honestly it kind of started right out the gate. Kind of watching him and watching his body language and stuff out there. So I don't know what was going on there, what happened there, but
yeah.
he did seem a little bit off when he stepped out there, and it just
Hmm.
kind of kept getting worse as points kept getting scored.
Yeah,
So yeah, so who knows what happens? Like we talked about before,
right.
the travel and all that, does play a factor. So, you know, he's he's proven he's good. We know he
Yeah,
is.
yeah. We know he'll be there in the
Oh yeah,
future, and
yeah.
and uh,
So yeah,
and yeah, like you said, whatever was going on, he's gonna correct that. He's gonna get it going. We know
for
he's
sure.
a tough minded competitor, so we believe in in him and expect to see him fully through this next cycle at least.
for
All
sure.
right. So there you have it. Team USA Greco-Roman Wrestling, 18th place. We had three guys in the top 10. Jaden Rainey in 7th, Kamal Bay in 10th, and Peyton Jacobson in 7th. 18 team points from those three guys. Mike, despite that 18th place finish, with some of the youth, with the combination of the veterans of
Oh yeah,
Coleman and Bay and Schultz, um, I think the future looks good. We need some guys to kind of specialize in Greco.
yeah.
Hopefully, the Rainies will do that and really bring the U.S. into that top 10, top 5. Obviously, we want to battle for team titles there too.
Oh, for sure. And again, no medals this time for the U.S. In
Yeah,
Greco-Roman.
yeah,
But I mean, man, so many bright spots and so many nice flashes of like greatness happening, right? And so, I mean, especially, Rainey's early run,
yep,
Jacobson's fight, man, and, of course, Kamal Bay coming, like I said, 11-2. Love that dude, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
his explosiveness. And then you got
Mm-hmm.
Foy and Sancho and all those guys. I mean, and Ellis Coleman, of course, right? Like I think this team has a really good like blend right now, and I think they're gonna be able to definitely do some things moving forward. I,
Absolutely.
I think we have a solid setup as a team in all the weights for Greco right now, and so yeah, so I'm excited to see where Greco goes, and I think we're just starting the rebuilding of U.S. Greco right now, and I think we're watching it.